show you how I've been using the Fashion Fair foundation and powder. Now, some of us might remember Fashion Fair from back in the day. You could go to pretty much any department store, and a lot of women of color, I think especially black women, were at the Fashion Fair counter because they had deep shades. They just had products that worked for deeper skin tones. Now Fashion Fair has kind of like made a comeback, and they are in Sephora. So as soon as I saw that Fashion Fair was around, I decided that I wanted to give it a try, see what like the revamped stuff feels like, and yeah, see if I'm gonna be purchasing more from them. So currently there are just face products from my understanding and from what I see on Sephora's website. So I went ahead and got 3 things. The first thing that the first thing that I got is their primer. It's called a skin priming serum. So I'll tell you about that. I'm just dropping stuff. I also got their cream or creme to powder foundation. So I'll tell you about that. And lastly, I have their pressed powder. And there is that. So I've already done my eyeshadow. I have a virtual baby shower to attend today for one of my friends. It's in a couple of hours, so I thought, why don't I put on my makeup and kind of do an all day sort of wear test. But also I'm going to be wearing this foundation throughout the rest of the week, and I will do an update on it at the end of the week. Other thing, I continued to use the Milk Hydra Grip eyeshadow primer, and I even used it as a concealer primer. What I noticed, like I said in the previous video that I did about it, is that it did cause creasing. So if you are prone to like creasy eyelids and stuff like that, the Milk Hydra Grip eye primer might crease on you. That's not fun. So I have gone back to my trusty and handy Makeup by Mario primer. I continue to work through this side, and I've also been using the powder, and it's still standing out as like my favorite. When I used it, the Milk Hydra Grip eye primer, as a concealer primer, I didn't really notice anything too different. I looked pretty closely at my under eyes, and I actually kind of felt like I noticed my lines a little bit more. So yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't been working as well for me. Like initially, it can be cool, but then as soon as there's some eye movement or anything, it's creasing. And I made sure to look at some of the reviews on Sephora's website, and quite a few people had the same experience. But then there are other people who said they enjoyed it. So it's hard to say. I will say though that for me, it's a bit of a letdown. And initially it felt like, yay, and I'm like, oh, I don't like it. Okay, so let me go ahead and tell you a bit about the products that I got from Fashion Fair. So right now they have a stick foundation that is supposed to be full coverage and appropriate for all skin types. They've got some lipstick, they've got the creme to powder foundation, the pressed powder, the face primer, and then they've also got a loose setting powder that comes in 5 shades. I didn't get the setting powder because I have so much. I probably also didn't need the pressed powder. Child, I didn't need none of this as I think about it, but that's okay. So let me start with the face primer. So it is called the Fashion Fair Fabulous Face Priming Serum. And it's peach tinted and is said to be good for all skin tones and has a translucent finish. So what they're saying about it is that it evens skin tone and texture, boosts radiance, and preps your skin for a seamless makeup application. It's also saying that it's good for normal, oily, dry, and combination skin, and also if you want to like smooth out your pores and have uneven skin tone. There's shea butter, there's some citrus extract, and niacinamide, and free of parabens, formaldehydes, and phthalates, mineral oil, all those stuff that we don't like as much. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. So it comes in this packaging, which seems to be the packaging of Fashion Fair right now. So you've got this white bottle and this gold top, and it is a pump. The only thing I don't like about this as much, you can see you just push down the top, is that it doesn't lock in any way that I have figured out. If you figured it out, please let me know. It doesn't lock and it doesn't have a cap. So yeah, that part I'm not as huge of a fan, but I'm gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand so you can see the tint. Come on now. Maybe I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand. There we go. So there is that. So you can see it has a bit of a peachy tint to it. I'm gonna go ahead and just put that all over. Now it's coming out a lot better. So it feels nice, goes on very smooth. It doesn't have any stickiness to it. It does feel like it just kind of sinks into the skin. I just dropped it. Butterfingers. Okay. Now it does say to gently press or massage onto bare skin, which is what I just did. I mean, my skin, it wasn't completely bare. I did have like my moisturizer and sunscreen already on. I haven't seen anything related to like longevity and if it's gonna make your makeup stay on longer. But I guess we will kind of see. There is no fragrance in it, so if you're concerned about that, this is something that shouldn't bother your nostrils too much. So next I'm going to go in with the foundation, the Creme to Powder foundation. See if you can see that. So it's this white packaging and has the Fashion Fair kind of etched into the compact, and then it has a gold trim. Here is the back. It has these holes to allow like some air to get in because there is a sponge in here, and as you might know, that those sponges can collect like bacteria and stuff, and it's real nasty. So that's to kind of help some of that. Once you open the compact, you've got your mirror, and then you've got the foundation here, and it flips up and you've got this gold plating inside, and then you have this little sponge here. So let me tell you about the foundation. So it said that is an opulent foundation that glides on like a silky cream and dries to a thin, elegant second skin powder finish. Said to have medium coverage, and the finish is natural. Obviously it's in the cream formula, and this is said to be best for normal and oily skin. So I'm not sure if you have dry skin, if you're gonna like it as much, but I always feel like you can use a good primer and kind of balance things out. It has a skin brightener in it, Resorcinol. It also has vitamin C and turmeric. And let's see what else it says. It says to prep your skin with the fabulous serum, which we already did. For fuller coverage, you can use the applicator sponge to pick up the foundation and glide it across your face. For a second skin effect, you can gently tap onto the skin and blend with your fingertips. And for additional coverage, you can tap into the areas you want to help conceal or ease discoloration. It also says to set areas prone to oil with their loose setting powder or with their iconic pressed powder for a more full coverage finish and long lasting wear. So the shade that I got is Mellow Mocha. This shade, I'm still iffy about it. The shade is described as medium deep with neutral golden undertones. So I tend to go for neutral undertones, period, just like straight up neutral. but I find that this kind of leans very red. So one thing is, I think my skin tone, like my color has changed a little bit as the seasons are changing, haven't been out in the sun. So I think that I need to go lighter in a couple of my foundations anyway. I have such a hard time with that. Like, I won't even notice until I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, huh, that's too dark. So I did also order just a couple of days ago Suede Silk, that shade, and it's said to be medium deep with neutral undertones. So I'm interested in seeing how that looks on me and if it'll balance out the redness of this. But I do feel like I have been able to play with it and adjust using like my concealer and my powders and everything, and it doesn't come off as red. So I'm going to go ahead in with it. I have not been using the sponge. I've actually just been trying different foundation brushes. So the brushes that I have been using, the first one is the Jumbo Base from Sonia G's Fusion collection. The other is the base from her Lotus collection. And then I've also used the BK Beauty 101 brush. Today, I think I will use this Jumbo Base. Now, those are my 3 favorite brushes to use to apply foundation. So what I'm going to do is just swipe across the product. Got some on there. And then I'm going to begin to press it into my skin. So it didn't say anything about applying with a brush, but I feel like it's similar to kind of applying with my fingers, especially using this Sonia G brush. And I just prefer not to use my fingers because inevitably I'll start to get product everywhere because I'll forget that I have product on my fingers. I don't know who else has used cream to powder foundations before. Like long ago, I want to say like high school, one of my favorites used to be Milani's cream to powder. And I think that one has kind of made a comeback recently. And I think because of like TikTok and stuff, and people have been using it more often, or finally like getting onto it because they hadn't before. But I like cream to powder. The other thing that I like about using the brush is that it allows me to build the product up a bit. I would say that it is medium coverage. Like, you can still kind of see some darkness on my skin, but that's fine. So, and here is the product. I feel like it doesn't even look like I used much. And I have been using this for several days now. My face does feel relatively like dry to the touch. It doesn't feel very liquidy or anything. I do feel like the product is sinking into my skin pretty well. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my concealer. Now they didn't have a concealer or anything. Dependent upon the other shade that I bought, maybe that could be a concealer shade. I just have to really see what works the best. So I'm going to go in with my Marc Jacobs Accomplice concealer, and this one is in the shade Deep 50. Have you all noticed like all the pandemic babies? Like, everybody is pregnant. You know those memes where it's like everybody is pregnant and I'm just over here drinking wine or something? Like, that's my life. I'm like, everybody is pregnant and I'm buying eyeshadow. I'm fine with that. I'm also going to go in with the shade Tan 46 just to give a bit of brightness. Everyone being pregnant is also reminding me of when my niece was born. So my siblings are much older than me. They're like 8, 11, and 12 years older. So my middle sister, my niece's mom, she and I are like super duper close. Like so close that people would think that I was her daughter. I am going in with this BK Beauty 108 brush. And it's because like we would spend so much time together. And especially since my siblings are so much older than me, like they were my babysitters, you know? But my sister would do my hair and like buy me clothes. And growing up in a Caribbean Caribbean household, we didn't eat like junk food or American food too much. So I remember that my sister, once she was like driving and stuff, she worked at Burger King for a while. And so I just remember her taking us to get like Burger King or McDonald's and us just like stuffing our faces in the car before we got home. Anyway, so when I was at home, I used to spend a lot of time with my sister. I talk to her multiple times a day. I joke that she's like my other boyfriend. But anyway, we were really close. I think she got pregnant with my niece when I was like 13 or 14. And I don't know how, but I like knew she was pregnant. And I'm just like this little innocent 13, 14-year-old Catholic school girl going to, you know, I don't know. I didn't know what anything was. But I was like, I think she's pregnant. I felt like I was seeing signs. So then she told me, and I was like devastated. I was like, what? Like, why? I was like, are you gonna forget about me? Oh, poor little 13-year-old Johnny. Just because we spent like so much time together, and I was like, I don't want this little baby coming up in here taking my sister. So my niece was born. She was born on Christmas Eve. And I am going to take my Pat McGrath under eye setting powder, and I'm using the shade Yellow. I'm going to take that on my, do I want to use this brush? I go between using the Sonia G Designer Pro brush and the Wayne Goss airbrush. I like both of them. I'm just going to use the Sonia G. So my niece was born on Christmas Eve. My sister like worked to the day or the day before she gave birth. So my brother, our brother got to the hospital first, and he was in for a surprise because my sister was still in labor, and he walked in. And I don't know that that's something you usually are thinking you're going to see your sibling like giving birth. Hilarious. But I think me and my mom, or was it both parents? I don't remember. We got there a little later. So the baby was like already in the nursery or somewhere, child. I don't know. I was 13 and I wasn't thinking about this other little baby that just popped out of nowhere. And I go to my sister and I was like, did you get my Gigapet? Do y'all remember those? I wanted a Dalmatian Gigapet. I didn't care about this baby. So I was just real bratty. I was like, did you get my Gigapet? And she did. And that's all I cared about. I didn't care about this little baby. Anyways, so my sister is a single mom. And so she, I was still like always with her, just like all the time. So there was one day where it was like raining. It was like pouring outside. And my sister, she didn't live like too far from our parents, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes, if that. But she had to go out to the store. Pouring rain. And she's like, I can't take the baby with me. And I'm like, yeah, what you gonna do? So she was like, you have to stay with the baby. And my literal words, what am I supposed to do with it? So she goes to the store. I'm like, please hurry up. And my niece was a couple months old at this point. And so I didn't know what to do, so I just held her the whole time, and I fell in love. Like, you couldn't get that baby out my arms from that day forward. So even now, my niece will be like, remember when you used to hate me? And I'm like, yeah, girl. But I love my niece so much. Every time I talk about her, people think she's like super young. Child, this girl done graduated college. So she's old now. But I adore her. She's like a theater person. So imagine my personality on stage. There was one time I saw one of her shows. Y'all, she was in an off-Broadway play. And when I tell you, I was so close to that stage, like they had to like come off the stage real quick, and she literally accidentally stepped on me. That's how much I was like on the stage. I was like a black mama, but I'm a black aunt. I was like, that's my baby. Yes, yes, that's my niece right there. This one. She the only black one in here. She the only black one in the play. Go ahead, girl. Anyway, she's a theater person. And there was once where I was watching one of her plays, like, since, you know, I'm on the other coast, and my sister sent me a video, and I was like, is she pretending to be me? Because it felt like she was. Anyway, that is my story of, like, being a bratty 13, 14-year-old. And now, like, my niece is literally saved in my phone as favorite. Like, she's my favorite person in the entire world. Girl, Rose nearly gave me a heart attack. Where'd you come from? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead in with the Fashion Fair Pressed Powder. Now, I have the shade Bold Bronze. And I'm fine with this shade, so I didn't buy a different shade of the powder. But let me tell you about their iconic pressed setting powder. Let's see here. Oh, let me read to you what this one says. So Bold Bronze looks like it's about the fourth from last shade. Yeah, fourth from last shade. They are 3 shades deeper than this one. I don't necessarily mind if my powder is a little lighter or a little darker. I can go either way. So the Bold Bronze is said to be tan with warm undertones. The one next to that or after that is Rich Copper, and that is said to be tan to deep with neutral cool undertones. I knew I didn't want like a cool undertone. The one after that is Sultry Sepia, and that is deep with cool undertones. And then the very last one is Mahogany Muse, and that is said to be rich, deep with neutral undertones. And I love that, like, it has a pretty good, like, depth of color. So I'm going to use the powder to set my face, and it's said to be an ultra lightweight oil absorbing powder that instantly sets or refreshes makeup at home and on the go. Medium coverage, matte finish, and it's for all skin types. It's said to have blue light protection, also has vitamin C and glycerin. And you're supposed to wear it alone or over the foundation, the stick foundation or the cream to powder. You can use an applicator sponge to dust over your entire face or oily areas. And use a shade, it says you can use a shade 1 to 2 shades darker than your skin tone to contour, create dimension, and accentuate angles. That I might do with that cool tone shade. Yeah, I'll think about that. So I have just been using a powder brush. And what I've honestly been using these products for a couple days now, and I feel like there's still so much product in there, which is nice. So I'm just using this BK Beauty 102 brush and dusting the powder over my face. But it doesn't feel heavy, like it really does feel lightweight. And yeah, what I'm going to do is finish off the rest of my face, go about my business. I will attend the baby shower, and then I will come back in a couple of hours and let you see what it looks like. So I'm hoping that it stands up to the test of time, because I've only worn it for shorter time periods earlier this week. So yeah, I am going to finish this face up with some bronzer, some blush, and is that it? Oh, and a lip. So I will see you in a little while when I come back to check in. Hello, so I'm just doing a check-in. It has been about 3 hours, so I haven't touched anything up. I have eaten. What else did I do? And then I was in front of the computer with lights on, attending the Zoom baby shower. Yeah. Okay, so let me zoom you in a little bit. Now, I do have oily skin, so oils popping up is common. So far, I think the foundation is holding up pretty well. I am getting some creasing in the line here and here. Did a lot of smiling. I don't really see any creasing anywhere else, but I am definitely a little oily. I'm not the oiliest I've ever been. You can see like some oils coming through here, my chin, or forehead's a little shiny, but I'm gonna go ahead and touch up, which is what I would typically do. Let me think. I'm going to use the powder that comes from Fashion Fair. That seems to make sense. BK 107, tapping into the powder, and I'm just going to put it over any areas that got a little oily. So you can see there's a bit of a difference once I put the powder on versus not having the powder on. So when I touch up, I don't necessarily need to have it become like super matte. I just want to take the shine down a bit. So I'm gonna do it here. All right, so I am going to check in again in a couple of hours. I will let you know how it is. So far though, I like it. I do like it. I took a picture outside and it looked really good in natural light. So far so good. Let me know what you think. Hello. So this is my 5-hour check-in. So about 2 hours after the other one that I did. And as you can see, like, the oils are coming through. This is kind of typical makeup for me, especially if it's not a very matte foundation. Now, I was going to leave this on longer, but I do not feel well. So I'm going to go ahead and end this so I can take off my makeup, but I will be wearing this throughout the week, so I will definitely give you an update. On first impressions, I do like the primer. Where did it go? Oh. I do like the primer. I'm not as much of a fan of the component just because I wish it had something to either lock it or like a cover, especially if you plan to put this in a bag or something. I would just be afraid that something would push down on it and it would get everywhere. I also do like the cream to powder foundation. I don't know that this would be a foundation that I would wear if I'm having like a long day, but it really helped, or it was fine for today when I just had like one thing to go to and wasn't going to be out super long. I also like the powder. Part of me wishes that there was a powder puff in here also, so that if you were to take this on the go, then you'd have a puff, but I'm pretty sure since this is sort of a little deeper in the pan, I think you can fit a puff in here. I'm pretty sure there wasn't one with it, unless I missed it. But I think you could fit one in there pretty easily, or you can take like a travel brush or something with you, or even something like this, which is that Beauty Blender like sponge applicator. Let me try that actually. So of course, since this is like a sponge and not a brush, it's going to add a bit more coverage with the powder. So takes down that shine that we've got going on. And I would say if you have drier skin, you're probably going to be fine with this combination. Oilier skin, then you're probably used to, like I am, having to powder throughout the day if you don't want to be too shiny. So hopefully this was helpful. I will update you later in the week, and I will see you next time.